Right. Hi, good evening, my Facebook friends. Good evening once again. You are signed into Boss Lady Live. We're gonna, as usual, we give it a few minutes to come up. This evening, we are going to speak about, it's actually a follow-up to dating in the 21st century. And we got a lot of feedback on dating in the 21st century. And so we had to do a part two, achieving happily ever after, because after we signed off, we had a lot of conversation about, mature marriages get stale or mature relationships get stale and who doesn't want what. So, we want to have a serious conversation. We want to have a serious conversation on, if marriages can still remain sexy, or mature relationships can still, you know, maintain the sexiness that persons, especially the males, are saying there's a difficulty um, achieving this longevity in terms of the sexuality in marriages and mature relationships. Mature relationship. They're saying that women don't really particularly want sex anymore. We disagree. And so we also invited one of our guests, one of our viewers that was very vocal on the night of our show to join us. He'll be joining us in a few, because we want to not lock out the men, right? They're saying that they weren't getting the male perspective. Hi, Moya, welcome. So we're waiting for a few more persons, and then we have a very happy couple that has been together for 43 years, married for 35, together for 43, still, happily married. They work together, they play together, right? And they're still having, according to them, they'll tell you later on, they're still having hot sex. So it's double, right? So tonight we have Kamala McWhinney, associate psychologist, and she was with us the first time, and she was really well received. They loved her to death. So we had to have her on the second panel. And now we have Dr. Sexian, who's a sexologist, that is going to speak of the things sexually. And we're going to have Mr. and Mrs. Happily Ever After. And we kept them incognito because we wanted to speak of the things and not necessarily put their business out in the street. You understand what I'm saying? But we're still getting the facts. So we're waiting on Mr. and Mrs. Happily Ever After and Mark Cameron to join us. But we can start. Kamala, you want to just do a brief overview of who you are and what you're about and what do you do? And then we can go to Dr. Sexian. Just give us an overview of who you are as well, what you do, and what your contribution is going to be. If you can just mute your mics until it's your time to speak, because I think I'm getting a little feedback. So you can start, Kamala.
So good evening again to the Boss Lady Tribe. As Sandra introduced me, I'm Kamala. I go by White Lotus on social media because my first name actually means lotus, and it's a very powerful flower, so I kind of embrace the energy of the lotus. I am, like Sandra, a breast cancer survivor, so we're survivor sisters, and I'm very, very grateful to be able to say that. For me, in 2020, it's 7 years now. So I really have a lot to be thankful for. So I believe in living life fully and living abundantly. And I spread that message in terms of, abundance in relationships, abundant mindsets, and just living good, beautiful life. So I'm going to be talking from that perspective tonight in terms of getting your mind right about relationships and understanding each other better, because sometimes we have people in different corners saying, boy, him no want, she no want, them no want. But we're not really talking to each other. And there are some blocks to, creating that intimacy. So I'll be contributing along with Dr. Sexian and the other guests about these dynamics in relationships.
Dr. Sexian, over to you.
I'm Shelley Weeks, author, activist, sexologist. I'm a very, very big believer in living life to the fullest, like my other guests on the panel. And I'm always very happy to see women who take cancer on and come out swinging. So congratulations on that, ladies.
Thank you.
As far
20
as
years going.
relationships, absolutely. As far as relationships and life, my whole mantra is nothing works without the effort. The minute you stop trying, you're gonna see the results. The minute you put the effort behind it, you're gonna see the results. So I think it really does come down to you and your effort and what you consider important. And we find a lot of excuses to do the things we don't want to do. We find the time and the energy and the money to do the things that we do. So I think it really does come down to choices. So that's really where my focus is on, and that's where my mindset is it really does come down to your choices and your actions, and that will speak to the success that you have in any facet of your life, especially your relationships.
Awesome. Mrs. Happily Ever, Mrs. H. I want to call you Mrs. H. Mrs. H. I asked you when you happily volunteered. So just give us a little overview as what is your what your relationship has been for the past 43 years, and why did you choose to come forward and just share with us? Because I like to give information, but why did you think that it was necessary for you to join the conversation?
Well, first of all, I'd like to tell you thank you for having us. And does anybody out there know Sandra? Cannot tell Sandra no. So Sandra came to us and asked if we would agree to sharing our perspective on our relationship and our marriage.
Right.
Sandy, you chose us. Of course, your beloved decided to consent.
Mr. H.
Mr. Happily Married consented on the duress. Please tell us what you have to say, Mr. Happily Married.
I'm very honored to be here, but I hope I can shed some. It has come natural for me, Sandy.
Right.
Which I don't know. I've been blessed and fortunate, and I hopefully in this setting, maybe we can discover what really makes it happen. But I've been blessed.
Well, the reason why I asked Mr. and Mrs. H is because they have been together from like high school days, and then they work together, they play together. So they literally are spending all the time together. And when you say that to men like prison, when they talk about marriage, it's like, oh my God, prison. So Mrs. H, what would you say? Well, I like to say it's in the choice. I don't like to talk about failed marriages. I like to think about when you make the choice of a partner. If you make a bad choice from day one, then it's not going to work. That is my feeling. I've not been successful at marriage, or I've been in a relationship. I believe my longest relationship may have been like 5 years. But I believe in the choices. What would you say has contributed to your happily ever after?
We have a lot in common. We enjoy similar activities. So it's not a big effort. And we genuinely love each other. It doesn't feel like work. It has never been pretentious. We're very honest. We communicate openly about the things we like, the things we don't like, the things that make us happy and unhappy. So, and that has been since day one. Mr. H has always been a very honest, direct person. Now, if you can't handle the truth, don't ask because you're going to get it.
What I would also say in that vein is we have been ourselves from day one.
But there was no masking.
There was no masking. So initially, what I saw is the person that I am with still today. And likewise, what I brought is me, you know. So I didn't do anything special to win her over. I was just being myself. And I think likewise, she was just being herself. And we came together, we enjoyed each other's company and just can't seem to get enough of each other. So, you know.
Awesome.
But you said it earlier, Sandra, it could be a nightmare if you didn't like each other. I mean, and COVID-19 actually, where you're locked up in the house for such a long time, all day long, at work, all day long, very little social life. It could be a nightmare, but we actually enjoy each other's company. And we've grown together because we've been together from high school. You could grow apart, but I think having watched our parents and their parents before them maintain honest, open, frank, healthy relationships did help.
Awesome. Kamala, what is your view on what creates a long-lasting relationship?
You know, I was over here smiling because I feel like Mr. and Mrs. H really hit the nail on the head. And something jumped out at me that I kind of want to tease out for tonight's convo, Sandra, is that both of them, it sounds like, had strong models of healthy and in particular honest relationships, you know, to learn from. And I feel like some of us, I can speak for myself, didn't have the benefit of that. And so sometimes it leaves a lot of room for the Mills and Bulls fantasy and the when Daniel Steele fantasy to kind of come in and kind of create a false sense of what a relationship should look like. And I mean, TV doesn't help either. So many images from the media can sometimes come in and become substitutes, you know, unhealthy substitutes for what it should look like. And so I really must add my commendations to Mr. and Mrs. H for deciding to come and talk about it, because many of us need to hear how it really go and need to hear that, listen, honesty is a key part of it. Because sometimes we feel as though we have to audition and keep auditioning throughout the years to keep it together. But ultimately the mask must come off. So I feel as though that honesty with self first, I always talk about that piece. You have to be honest with yourself first, know who you are, and then also be able to communicate that in a healthy way as the years go on, as the months roll by. So I'd love to hear eventually from Mr. and Mrs. H how the communication part go. Because Mr. H is a straight talker, right? And I figure it's not always the what, but the how sometimes. So finding that balance, I believe, is an important piece of the ingredients of, you know, of a healthy union.
Dr. Sexian, your contribution?
Yes. Well, much of what I hear from this happy couple is exactly what you know, the foundation of what I really think. I think it's important to be authentic, and I hear a lot of that in what they're saying, is that they didn't come with the representative, they didn't come with any sort of plan to manipulate. They necessarily were just genuinely who they were, and that's who they fell in love with. So authenticity, I think, wins every single time, and it kind of annoys me every time I hear people say things like, oh, there are rules that you need to follow, and you can't call the person 2 days after you meet them because you need to be, they are going to think that you're, and I'm like, throw all of that out the window. If you like the person, let them know that you like them, and vice versa. I don't understand why we have decided that in order for us to have any sort of relationship, we have to put these obstacles in our way. And what I'm hearing from this couple is that they were just true to who they were, and that is who they fell in love with, and that's the reason why they are able to be together, because they started out on a foundation of authenticity. And I think that is absolutely paramount. So bravo.
I'm wondering though, Dr. Sexian, if it's because they were such innocent, they were not jaded yet, and
I
had
think
to
that's
go
a factor.
through all the
I think that's a
thousands.
factor. I agree.
Mrs.
I
A,
think that's a factor because I mean, remember that a lot of the times your first instinct is to do exactly what you want to do, and then you make the mistake of calling your girlfriend, and then she starts saying, but then suppose, what if? And then she starts putting all these thoughts in your head, and then you remember the last time when you did do it and it never worked out, and all of these other things, and it's all in your mind. Which is what I'm saying. If you just come back to you, your authentic self, and just put that on the table, I think you will win all the time. Because if you find somebody through being completely authentic, then that is what you want to. Because what's the reverse? The reverse is now you have to maintain this persona that you have presented to this person, and that is so stressful. And that is why people end up being disappointed, because they can't maintain the act. It's too hard.
I need to say something though. Authenticity and nirvana is not the same place.
yes,
Because it doesn't mean that we have never had challenges.
yes,
Oh no.
It just means that you decide, and it's a choice, to work your way through whatever situations will present themselves, because we had a good foundation to begin with.
Absolutely.
Mrs. H, because
Yes.
I know you from day one, I am thinking, does it help that you weren't really jaded because you didn't really go through the many breakups and heartache and distrust and the
I think
baggage? You didn't really have that baggage. So would you say that in itself helped?
it helps, but then I've heard from other persons who take baggage, as you want to call it, or their past relationships into new ones. It sometimes is helpful and sometimes it's not. Sometimes the assumptions about what will happen with different individuals, for whatever reason, can cause you to cloud your judgment of the situation or your own relationship, your own hopes and aspirations. But and I really would like Peter to, well, Mr. H, to chip in and to share his perspective. But there is a flip side to that. When you go into a relationship bare and young and unaware of the what ifs of other relationships, there is a curiosity that might enter the relationship you've never explored outside of. And it could cause problems if you don't absolutely choose to make your relationship work.
Mhm.
I see Kamala nodding her head. I'm not an expert. I just know that we have chosen all along to whatever presents itself, make sure that we are honest about it. We sit down, we work it out. Sometimes it's not so easy. Most of the times it is, because we genuinely love and care for each other. But situations can present itself in funny ways, because sometimes our friends might not think that we should be spending so much time together. What kind of foolishness is this? Why you don't want to go out with your girls? Why you don't want to go out with your guys? What is this, all this time that you want to be spending with each other? So it can get complicated sometimes.
Mr. Henry is asking, doesn't some baggage test the metal of your love? Mrs. H?
I would say it does test. Well, I want to go back to our families. We're both from similar background. Both parents love each other. We came from, I grew up with mother, father, a very close knit family. Andrew, well, Mrs. H also
What's going to be a problem?
with the similar things. So the initial what we have grown up And what we thought was the norm, what we're realizing now is not really the norm. We were just extremely blessed, you know, and it has been easy for us because we have been brought up this way. So to follow, when talk to the kids, you know, I keep saying to them, try and follow the right path. It's a lot easier. When you're straight to the left or you're straight to the right, it's harder to find back that center. So if you stay close to the path, you step off every so often, but you stay as close as possible, it will be a lot easier. So in the relationship, you know, like my friends might be going out to the strip joint, and you know, is not something that I have been, but it's not a desire to go because I'm happy.
Because I create one at home every now and again.
So I really don't. It needs special events like a bachelor party that I would go, but generally,
regular thing, no.
It's not a desire of mine, and neither Andrea. We just seem to go through easily. It's been easy for me.
I want to make sure to mention though, if we're honest about what we've experienced with our parents and grandparents and parents before the great grand, because I think it's 5 generations of married couples. And in that lineage of 5 generations that I've observed, there have been times, mostly with the men, where the relationship is challenged or stretched because an extramarital relationship happens, right? And in 2 instances, I know children were brought into the home that were raised by my grandmother. And the emphasis is really to say that challenges may come, but it's a choice to say, and it's not long suffering. I'm not asking people to be long suffering because we are truly happy. And I have observed that my grandparents before us and parents were happy too. So it is to say that, you know, you can work your way through whatever issues come along. I don't remember where I saw it some time ago, but you swap out a 70% relationship where things are not exactly 100% perfect, but you go into a relationship that doesn't end up being anywhere near what you had before, usually. That's not to say that, you know, there are exceptions to that, but that hasn't been my experience.
Okay. Well, joining us, Mr. Mark Cameron. He was one of our very vocal viewers. So we had to invite you, Mark, to represent the men, to say to hear to get the male perspective. We
Welcome.
don't want too much estrogen on the panel. So we have you and we have Peter. The good and the not so good, but a blend of it, because I know you have some good to say as well. But let us hear your views on your view on achieving happily ever after, and maybe you can just give us a little overview of who you are and what you want to bring to the table.
Well, I've been it's my second marriage.
Yes.
Well, I'm an artist. I do a lot of different things.
So you're creative. So your mind is always creating.
If I were to tell you what I do, you'd probably get that, you know, you'd probably get bored. But it's quite extensive because I do so many different things.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I've noticed with my friends and people that I know is that there seems to be a lack of honesty in terms of what expectations in a marriage. There are expectations that they have that they're not aired, they're not talked about. And you may go into a relationship expecting something when there's something completely different than what you're going to be getting. And I don't think there's a lot of transparency of ideas and honesty in terms of relationships. What I've seen, you talked about 70% of a lot of men, you know, they're married, and the wife is one person before they got married, and once they get married, everything changes. And the person that they got married to, in terms of the man, he has an expectation of, okay, if I'm married, I expect certain things to happen a certain way. Now, we don't believe that people are robots. Obviously, there are certain things that will allow persons to change. But I think a real conversation between couples, if there's an issue, if there's love, that can be worked through, because if you know that, hey, this is how she's feeling, and this is why she behaves the way that she does, that may create a level of understanding that will allow concessions to be made. Although I don't think one should get into a marriage, you know, making concessions. Yeah, I mean, this world has billions of people. I think one should take the time to find the person that you're most compatible with.
It's not that easy to find, but it takes two to ask the questions though, Mark. Would you say that the men tend to ask the serious questions too? Because that is the challenge that we're having.
Not necessarily. I don't think I can paint everything with a broad brush, because people come with different backgrounds. Some people are open, some people are just not open. Some people are concerned about the consequences of opening up. So, I mean, hopefully, I could be, I could give you a perspective that other men may not be expressing.
Go ahead.
Now, another issue is that I find a lot of older men going with younger women. Now, women need to understand something very carefully, okay? A man's eyes don't change when he's 14 or 49. The same teacher in high school that he admired, the 24-year-old teacher, your eyes don't change. However, as relationships go, there is a level of commitment and loyalty that comes with time on the books. So those issues are not necessarily as challenging unless there is a serious disruption in intimacy. That is, if a man is healthy and he desires his wife and his wife has no interest, I mean, you know, I don't care how loyal you are, you know, a lot of people maintain because they fear the consequences of being found out or whatever. But we have to be honest about what we want. If you're not honest, you're gonna live a miserable life. And I've seen a lot of miserable men going out there with
can I interject for a second?
Absolutely.
Yes. All right, you're making a lot of general statements, and I'm finding it a little bit tedious because I want specifics. Okay. You said a whole heap in what you said just now, but for example, your whole point about expectations, I think you're right. I think part of the reason why a lot of persons end up disappointed in their relationship is because they don't voice what they expect, and that's on both sides. But then when you got into the part of the conversation where you were talking about older men, younger women, you lost me, because I'm still trying to figure out why is it that older men choose younger women from your perspective. So I'm just waiting for you to sort of clarify that point.
I'll answer that question. For most men, your enthusiasm is our aphrodisiac. Now,
what do you mean when you say enthusiasm?
Your desire for
You're talking about sex?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Your enthusiasm is
what you're saying that the older men are interested in younger women because they're more interested in sex than the older women are.
Not necessarily. There are women, young women who nowadays that are more engaged, more aware, that are good companions. I'm not advocating anything here, you know.
I'm not asking if you're advocating. I'm just trying to understand your point.
And I'm answering your point. What I'm saying to you is that the enthusiasm level diminishes.
So you're saying older women don't have any interest as older women has less interest in sex than younger women.
Interest in sex or interest in the person?
Well, you know, sex comes with interest in a person. Okay, there's interest in the person first, and then sex comes because of your interest in the person. So they don't believe that people are looking at other women as just as a body. No, there's a definite relationship that goes on with these men that are out there with other women.
Mark, can I say something?
Yes. Please.
You know, I'm just listening to how you're speaking, and I'm concerned that it's your opinion, but relationships is a two-way street, right? So
Agreed.
it requires both parties to be making the effort, usually at the same time, right? So
Agreed. Mm-hmm.
Your partner, would your partner feel the same way that you feel about the relationship waning or fading over time because of age?
You know,
what is it, age or youth?
Okay. Here's the thing, right? Sometimes, okay, in most cases, intimacy is not just about sex, you know. Right. Intimacy is really up here, because if you don't feel it mentally, then things go south. Mm-hmm. Now, from what I've seen, I mean, it's not a personal opinion, because I've had my issues. My issues with divorce was about me going back to Jamaica, so it's a whole different situation here. I'm not talking about me, but I know quite a few men, and we have discussions, and the common thread is lack of interest in that area, which can be challenging.
Lack of interest in sex. Right. Yes. No, I really want to address that. And that is concerning to me for several reasons. My work focuses on female sexuality. Specifically, I've been doing over the last 3 years a lot of focus on reproductive health and all of that. And I want to call it a pet peeve, but it's more frustration that I have with men when it comes to women, especially when you talk about older women, because when women are of a certain age, they're hitting perimenopause, into menopause, and their body is changing, and there's a whole heap of things going on. And usually when I hear men talk about it, they always talk about how it spoils their fun, and that's the only perspective they have. And part of it is our fault as women, because we really don't share enough information with our partners as it relates to what's going on with our body at the time. And that's why I'm asking you to just be specific with me as to why men are interested in younger women than older women. Because the truth is, in that particular section of her life, her body is going through a whole heap of changes that she herself is trying to keep up with. And so she might not be interested right now in jumping your bones. And for a set of people who love to talk about loyalty, I am a little frustrated every time I hear the thing is, well, if I can't get it from you, I'm just going to find a nice young girl to get it from. That really concerns me.
Nobody goes out and find anybody. Some people are just sitting in there at a workplace or wherever, and you have a conversation.
All right, so you're going to focus on the word find, really? That's what we're doing? All I said just now, you just focus on the fact that I said find. Okay, so all of these women falling in your laps because you're hot and thing and them want you. Okay, my point still stands.
All right, can I say something? Can I say something? Hold on a second, Mark. Okay, I've had conversations with men and women, and this is my viewpoint. And Kamala or Dr. Sexy, and you can chime in and tell me if I am off. All right, what I find in talking to some of the males, they select based on what no, not let me say some. Let me be very careful because I don't want to say people that I'm generalizing. I find that some men select women based on what they think the image of a wife is supposed to be. Some men marry women liking oral sex. The woman not interested, never was interested, don't plan to be interested, and they still marry her and they still want oral sex. So in my mind, they are marrying the woman, wanting oral sex, so they have planned into their marriage that they are going to cheat because they are going to get it one way or another. The lady that they married, she was never highly sexed. And it could be for the men as well, because I've heard women complaining that the husband not really too into sex. And the question I asked, was he like that from day one? And when I really think about it, he was. So sometimes we get involved with people who are not our sexual equal, hoping that they will change or to bend to please us. And so we get jaded or upset, and then now you throw in the mix now, you get married to a man or a woman who is not pleasing you otherwise. So you go home, you want to cook, you want to clean, that kills the vibe if you want to have to do everything, male and female. So we don't throw that into the mix. We're not even talking about attraction right now. Because
that's an important factor.
The attraction wanes if you're tired all the time. And you feel like you're being taken advantage of. And it could be man or woman, because I've heard men complain to me, imagine it's Valentine's Day and not even a carnation, not even a card. I mean, that kills vibes on both sides. So my thing still goes back to the initial contact. Did I choose someone who was my equal? And that's where I start.
Facts.
You know, that's my thing, Mark.
Well,
Did
I think,
you
but
really
you know something?
truly select the person who was sexually, because the truth is, and I've seen it and I've heard it, the woman that will do the head top and the thing, they don't see her as marriage material. They want someone who goes to church, who prays.
I take offense.
But then they don't necessarily, because they want something in their mind, though, you know. This is all in their mind. This is not fact. This is in their mind. Because I can skin Popalik and everything, and I'm still loyal.
Yeah, but you know one thing.
But they don't see you as that type.
Okay,
and
but
they don't wife you up, but they wife up someone who is not necessarily sexually they're equal, even if you're equal in the other areas. I don't understand that, and you can disagree or agree.
Well, what I think you need to understand though is that, you know, there's 24 hours in a day, okay?
Yes.
1 or 2 or 3 hours, however long you want to go for sex. There's still 22 hours left or 23 hours left.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, by
the way, Dr. Aiken said sex only lasts for 20 minutes. Isn't that what he said, Kamala? 20 minutes max? Anything over that, you have to check your doctor.
No, well, when you talk about sex, you have to be specific, because a lot of people include the entire event as sex, not just the penetration part. So if you're just talking about the intercourse alone, the intercourse is usually less than 20 minutes. The average is 6 to 13 minutes is the average. But if you're talking about the entire thing with the foreplay and all of that, we can hit an hour.
An hour, right? So go ahead now, Mark.
Boy, this is uncharted territory for me.
Well, I'm just telling you the facts. I got the facts before.
But those are your perspectives, okay? Those are
those are
findings.
The numbers. Those were the research.
No, that is facts. That is facts.
I wanna jump in here because I want to get a sense from Mark. I feel like I already have a sense from Sandra and Dr. Sexian and Mrs. H from the woman's perspective. I'm sensing that we have an understanding that several variables contribute to relationship success and relationship decline. I feel like it's important for me personally as a professional and as a person, it's important to enter conversations, being open to hearing all the things that contribute and taking responsibility accordingly, right? Because the idea should be to have an expansive conversation so everybody can leave level up, you know, and learning and being better acquainted with the other side's perspective, right? So that's like my baseline. And I feel like both Mark and Sandra have touched on what I think the core of the issue is. One of them is choice. I keep on hearing Mr. and Mrs. H rinsing it out from them come on till now. The choices that we made. That's one piece of it. I feel like Sandra touched on a very important piece, which is the fact that sometimes men make choices based on woolly things, XYZ things, right? But in making those choices, sometimes, as one of your commenters on the live, Sandra mentioned, is like they're almost manifesting the creation of the forbidden fruit syndrome. So I'm going to pick what is safe, but I'm going to touch the road and kind of tap into the fantasy piece of it now by choosing a woman who is so different from my wife. And that alone creates a very sexy, a very heady dynamic, which many people, not only men, but many people find stimulating. If a man do that, a man would do well to also own his responsibility in the dynamic that he's creating. That's a one piece of it. The other piece of it now is that, as Sandra touched on, there may be declines in libido, biologically, but also psychologically, because of things that both members of the couple contribute to. So, for example, we know that for some people, and Dr. Sexian can give me the stats and, you know, clear it up a little bit, but for many people as human beings, sex is heavily psychological. And there is an emotional component to it too. And apparently it is the case for many women, not all, but many women, differently than men. Yeah? So sometimes, knowing a Mark, I'm not here disputing that you are wrong, that it hasn't been some men's experience that the sex decline. However, I feel like we would all do well to look at it from the standpoint of, yeah, but it reach here so. And a spite and a bad mind automatically. And if a spite or a bad mind, something likely contribute to that. So sometimes there are unrealistic expectations of the woman to mother the 3 children, sometimes almost single-handedly, to contribute to the household because the man are rich like that, so she have to go work too, to keep the house in a way that the man feel like it's supposed to keep. And then for the head top and pan your knee and pan your shoulder and pan your waist.
And deal with endometriosis and face the repercussions of endometriosis and breast cancer and cervical illness and heavy periods and hormonal ups and downs.
And sometimes too, Mark, and then let me not flip it only for the men, because let me tell you something about me. My brand is about equity as much as possible. So I'm not come to bash nobody. But I feel like accountability and responsibility must be the order of the day. Yeah. So sometimes, too, Mark, men have difficulty in performing. I heard about this particular marriage therapist who documented her journey with one particular client. And it was a male client. And the client said he was having difficulty getting and sustaining an erection. And when the therapist took him through the rigors of it, it came down to him being able to vocalize a particular sentiment that he felt as though the weight of the world was on his penis. So there were money issues, there were parenting issues, there were pressures at work. And literally he felt as though everything I tried pushed down his sexual performance. You understand? So it goes both ways. Sometimes the women contribute to the men's libido going down. Sometimes the men contribute. So we have to look at it in a balanced way. Otherwise, the conversation can go round and round until 2029. Because the two sides contribute garbage to the space. Everybody have to walk away saying, you know, say as the partner to the partner here, you know, say me shouldn't do this. Or I should have done this better. I should have listened more. And also it comes down to making the choices. If it now work out, everybody have a choice. You understand? But I feel like the blaming and the pointing fingers will take us literally round and round until midnight and beyond.
I think it's really about a conversation. I mean, somebody told me that his wife and they were very affectionate when they first started out, but their affections would always lead to sex. So although he appreciated the affection, without the sex. She always tied the two together. So when her interest dropped off, she never hugged him as much, kissed him as much, because she knew that after that, it's going to go in a direction she's not prepared to go.
Prepared to I get that.
An important piece.
So he's now losing two things. He's losing you have no idea how important in a loving relationship cuddling is to a man. It's not about before the act. It's very important throughout the day. Just reassurance, just in bed, going to bed. I mean, it's not all about that. And you have to understand that men are usually attracted and have long-term relationships with women who they are comfortable being around with. Nobody wants to be around a miserable woman and call and argue about foolishness. Nobody wants that. Okay, and I understand their relationships can be challenging, but the person that allows you to be yourself, that's the woman that you're gonna get married to. And in a lot of cases, men marry women like that, hoping, now not having discussion about sex or whatever, or just expecting that, okay, since we are now married, that'd be like, that's a no-brainer, okay? It's me and you. And in fact, after getting married, they're having less sex than before they're single.
Mm-hmm. And one of the things
I want to address some of the sexual stuff.
Let me just say something real quick, Dr. Sexy, and then I can throw over to you. I just wanted to jump in on the point that Mark raised about the non-sexual touching, because I feel like it also goes both ways. Sometimes women don't realize that men don't only want to be touched as an arousal to lead to sex. Non-sexual touching is important to men too. And also sometimes, Mark, and tell me if I'm wrong, sometimes men don't have the resources to vocalize that too, because women are not mind readers either. So sometimes the connection is easy to make, right? That, okay, every time we hug up, then we start take off clothes and we start going to the sex piece of it. So sometimes too, I feel like being able to communicate, move away from the assumption is also something useful to have in a union.
Well, when you, okay, a lot of men assume, okay, I'm going to speak to myself, okay? They assume that if I have to tell you, then we're not in tune. We're not in tune. If I have to tell you how I feel or what I want, then we're not in tune. And when you ask for something, no man wants a mercy. Okay, I'll give you some. Nobody wants that.
That is a fact.
Mark,
I don't understand that though. That confuses me. I don't understand that.
It's confusing.
I know what you mean, though. I know what you mean, Mark. I know what you mean.
It's confusing. It's confusing, but it's what it is.
Let me tell you why that's confusing.
Life is not always structured. Life is not always structured.
Sorry, go ahead.
Life is not always structured. And if a man who is into his woman and he understands her signs of distance and eagerness to have, I mean, he knows, a man will know if his woman really wants to. So if you have to ask for it, then you're a little selfish, because what you're doing is that you're trying to get what you want at the expense of her not appreciating what you're giving her. And like I said to you before when I first started, I said, a woman's enthusiasm is a man's aphrodisiac.
And Mark, enthusiasm.
Let me give you another perspective, Mark. In my relationship, me and this brethren a date and everything nice and all of that, and I like to be touched and held and cuddled and like when they lift me up and squeeze me and them something there. And he's not a man where I got people. And every time I want him to hold me, I said, then hold me now. And him do it. And he had to get to a point where I had to ask for it every time until it becomes something that he did because he know that I was into it. So if I took the approach that you would take, I would have never get what I want. And I'm saying,
yeah, but are you still with him?
Sorry?
Are you still with him though? Are you still with him?
Yes.
Well.
And he him say King Cuddler now. Like seriously, him can't leave me in peace. But I'm just saying.
So what you've done, what you've actually done is brought out what is inherent, what he wasn't comfortable doing it.
Perhaps, or maybe that wasn't his thing, and it became his thing because when he did it with me, he enjoyed. I never asked him if it was inside of him and couldn't come out before, but I just don't subscribe to this thing where I am going to be in a situation where my needs are not being met, but just because I don't like how it sounds, I refuse to ask for it. Ask for what you want.
I agree.
And you can't be in a relationship that you can't communicate.
It's not intimate.
How have you maintained your level of sexuality? I mean, you work together, you play together. So I mean, even if you're upset, what does that look like?
Communication. Communication is key, and I might not pick up on certain hints that message might throw out there, or vice versa. But if not, you ask for it.
Yes.
You can't not ask if you're hinting. You be honest. You know, if she don't pick it up, then I'll say, well, give me a squeeze.
Yeah, but boss, but what I'm saying to you though, right? I believe that if you're in a relationship, you both should be on the same page, okay? I just that's one of my fundamental beliefs. If you're that in tune, she would know that's where you are, and you wouldn't have to ask for it.
No, but Mark, we are all human, right? And what you'll find, your how you feel today, you don't want nobody touch you, right?
I get that.
But
so you as a man should know that she doesn't want to be touched. That's my point.
Mark, what she really needs is a hug and a touch that is going to break that. So it's life. You don't. There's no fixed way. This is how it is to be done, or that is how. You have to give and take, and you try. You try to always do your best, right? And if your best falls short, it's not your fault.
Mark,
Marcia says, why is it about the men? Women see signs too, but some men are not willing to adhere to what women are feeling.
I want to ask Mark. I'm curious, Mark, about this whole point, because this point concerns me, and I'm curious about it. Right, this piece about a good partner should know and should be in tune.
And be on the same page. Yes.
Yeah, Mark, I feel like that's a very dangerous mindset to have, because even within our one individual self, sometimes we change from week to week or from hour to hour. So sometimes you can be, for example, a natural introvert or a natural extrovert, but you have those moments as an extrovert where you feel like, yo, I don't want nobody even look for me much, just call my phone. We just want to lock off and be by myself. So Mark, I kind of want to get to, psychologically, I'm curious to get to the root of why you feel as though it should be automatic, an automated process where a good partner knows. Mark, nothing can go so. We're not psychic, and we're not telepathic. So
I'm going to answer your question, right? I know I'm going to get personal with you because I didn't really plan to, but let me say this to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
In everything that I do, whether I'm cooking or painting or whatever, it's a great responsibility of mine to find out exactly what I'm doing, how I'm doing it, and be sensitive to those who I'm involved with. I've always been very sensitive. It's very important for me to know her signs of distance, her signs of needing intimacy. Those things are very important to me. So I cannot say that I cannot understand why You don't know when your wife comes through that door that she's just not in the mood for what you might want, and why not help her go through with her process? Because sometimes you women have processes, you come in and you have something else on your mind by the work or whatever. And so I think it's important that we as married men or lovers or whatever, be in tune. It's not about you. A lot of women believe that men have sex because the man come. No, it's not always the case. Sometimes the man just want the intimacy, just want that type of intimacy, like an extension of a hug. It may not be coming to a conclusion. I'm not saying that that's the majority point of view, but if there was ever a successful relationship book written, let me know what that book, because there's none written, because everybody has a different perspective.
Mark,
and not everybody's going to put a mental investment into why she's thinking this way, her signs, what's causing that. Not everybody does that. Then again, not everybody are business. Not every person's a business owner. Not every person does. We're all different, man. And I am just hoping that what I'm saying to you, at some risk to me, that you can actually just think about it and be and take into consideration that men are not always honest about things, neither are women. But it's important that you do your own due diligence by spending time, spend time with that person, being a friend. Most men like to be around women who make them laugh, who are their friends. Mm-hmm. Everything else comes after that.
Yeah, but Mark, here's the part that I just want to highlight before we move on from this man reading thing. A lot of couples, when the couples come to me, is when they have tried everything else and it don't work. I am their last resort. Right. When them sex life dead and they come to me to try to resuscitate it in some way. And you know what is that constant refrain? Yeah. Each of them expect the other to know what they want. And they think they're on the same page and they should be in sync. And this one thinks the partner want dumpling and the other one think they want callaloo, and the two of them want callaloo. Well, and when they start talking, they realize that they're on the same page, but their thoughts of each other, what they were thinking, was completely wrong. Especially when you look at, they want to be sexually adventurous, for example. And they're saying, okay, well, the sex life, as we know it, is not the same. We want to do some new things, but one person don't want to try this because they think that their partner is not going to be interested, and vice versa. And when I sit both of them down separately and ask them, okay, tell me what you want, they want the exact same thing. But you know what is happening? They're not talking to each other. And he thought she want this and she thought he want that. So this idea that you expect your partner to know, and because we're together, we're supposed to know. One thing about people is that we're constantly evolving. And we might have started out our relationship feeling a certain way about a certain thing, but 5 years in, we change your mind.
Yeah, but you're mixing things up now, and I'll tell you why you're mixing things up. First of all, it's a completely different conversation asking about what you want in bed, because you're already in bed now. You're getting ready to, move, get move on.
I realize that you just love to pick out one piece of what me say and miss the egg.
No, because what you're doing is debunking what I've just said, and I'm saying to you that you should be able to know if your woman is interested in you or not, to have sex. Now, once you go past that, you have an obligation to tell your husband, say, boy, that not work, make it try this, And he should be man enough to know that, say, hey, something, we're in a relationship, we're trying to please each other. That's not gonna affect me mentally moving forward. I want to please my wife.
Let me give you a little bit of perspective where that is concerned now, sir. There's a difference between how men express themselves sexually and how women express themselves sexually. A lot of the time, women hold back her freak. That's the best way I can put it. She hold back her freak because a lot of the times men can't handle a woman who's sexually confident. If a woman too sexually confident, it start to wonder then who she do this with and where she learn it from. Then what if? Then how much other man then all this, and instead of enjoying the bounty of all loveliness that she comes with, So a lot of women would have liked to climb tree and turn upside down and do kill properly and do all the things. But the men can't manage it because they're saying, but I should be the sex expert here. You're coming here with all this knowledge. And as a sexologist, I can speak about this from experience, because a lot of men simply are afraid to even have sex with me because they think that they have to climb tree. And I mean, they do, but that intimidates them. You understand? I'm just saying that a lot of the times women hold back some of the freak. And the point that Sandra made earlier when she was saying that, a man wants oral sex, but he don't marry a woman who give oral sex. He probably have a woman who can suck up a tennis ball through a picket fence. And you would never know, because she has to be over here, be nice, decent, demure, to fit this wife title, fit into this wife box that he wants her to be in.
Yeah, but that's
men who said to me, they don't want them wives to give them head because wives not supposed to do those things.
Oh, that's the point I wanted to say. That's what I've been trying to and come in. They put their wives in a different box, Mark. Maybe not you. And I would really love to have a conversation with you and your friends, because I know for a fact that they see, based on my conversation, a lot of men see their wives as demure. They're not supposed and pure.
No.
I'm telling you, Mark, they're not supposed to do certain things. Wifey is in this box, and girlfriend or matey is in that box. And I'm telling you, wifey is at home thirsty.
And wife, you want to do all the things.
And wife, you want to do all these things. And when wife is complaining to her girlfriends that boy should want to do this, but out of fear, and the fear is real, because the relationship and maybe to your point, maybe they didn't start the relationship like that because she thought he wanted this. So she presented herself as this. But really and truly, as Dr. Sexy Ann said, she's really a little freak. But because she wanted to get married, wanted to get married, she dumped that down.
Right? Yeah, but this behavior.
We need to step in.
But this behavior comes from a lack of sexual maturity. Okay? A lot of men are not sexually mature.
Absolutely.
So if he doesn't ask for what he wants from his wife, he has no business being married, man. He's not ready.
No, but as a man out there, man, be honest. Don't you see that is a major part of the problem? And the thing is, before they discuss it with the wife, they would easier go out to find a little freak outside, because, they're not playing any head games with her. And, you don't have to look at her differently because, the children, are with wifey, and, everything is fine. As an educated, a traveled, and exposed man is different. But let's talk about, because we're keeping it in Jamaica right now, your Jamaican brothers and brothers.
No, but some of them guilty of that too, Sandra. The educated, traveled ones too. And we go out there and do all the things with Takesha. But come home to his wife can't get to turn upside down. I've actually had a situation where homegirl gets outfit, light candle, set up all sorts of sexiness. The man come in the house and start arguing about why so much candle in the office, trying to burn it down.
I know of a case like that as well.
Oh.
So maybe, Mark, you need to educate your friends.
Because when I say friends, I'm using the word loosely. Okay.
So what I'm hearing from you, though, Mark, is that you are a passionate individual and honest and straightforward and upfront about what you want. But how many men are like that? And it's not that we are bashing men when we say we're not getting this and we're not getting that.
I understand.
It's what we are telling you, and all of us here on the panel, include Mr. and Mrs. H, who are now showing themselves, Mr. and Mrs. H, that this is real life. This is real life, and we are suffering. Some of us have chosen not to go out there because we just can't bother. Because we're not getting what we want, and we're not going to settle for anything less. And that is the real thing. You are an anomaly. Believe me, you are an anomaly. And that's what I'm trying to explain to you. But you see, you're a little defensive. And that's what I found because you are doing what you want and you are getting what you want or not. Because whoever you are maybe knocking heads with is not seeing it your way. I'm seeing it your way, Mark. But what we're saying is that is not the norm. And a lot of wives and long-term girlfriends are suffering.
Yep.
Especially the ones in the church.
Especially the ones in the church. Especially when she's of a certain age, because culturally, we think that once a woman passes a certain age, she must put on them things then out. She must start to wear a certain kind of underwear and just go to church and pray. So all the fact that she's still sexually aroused and sexually viable is completely relevant because it's time for her to go into our church now.
Well, I have a friend, she was 60 and she reached over to her husband and her husband said, you know what, you're 60 now. It's time for you to pack up that. It's friendship thing now. And that's kind of sad. I want to maybe because he's not managed. So he's making an excuse.
Sandy, I feel like there's a lot of emphasis on the fact that women have to bring a lot into the relationship, but it goes both ways. Women can get bored if men don't explore what the wife wants in the relationship.
Absolutely.
It's a two-way street. And it takes time and effort, communication. You have to set the tone, you communicate, you share your love, your aspirations, the things you want out of your relationship, and you make sometimes it's just the little things, a cup of coffee in the morning, a glass of wine, a nice meal, or rubbing the shoulders, a head massage. It's little things that will show you. And it doesn't have to be, boring all the time.
I agree. I think we talked about love languages. Some people.
A lot of what I'm hearing is communication is lacking because if you're honest with your partner, and you have an open relationship that you communicate, you can tell anything. A lot of these problems would not happen. I can tell my wife anything, ask her, well, we are together 24/7, 365, and it's what I want. And I think it's what she wants. And if she needs some space and she said, well, she going out with her girl, no problem.
It took him a while to get there, though. I must admit.
I want to go and hang out, not a problem. But what I find with us is a lot of the time we want to hang out with our friends together. It's not really, her friends are my friends and my friends are her friends. So the communication is key. I listening to the conversations here, a lot of it is lack of communication.
Unfair. Sandra, if I could just share a scenario that I heard from a physician. He didn't call any names, so I don't know who the persons are, right? But he shared with me how lack of communication, the very same thing, lack of communication and fear can creep in, especially around sex and sexual issues. So he had an older male client who came in and said to him, I want to have a circumcision. So he must say, what? What you want circumcised for? Him said, I want to be circumcised. And he made up some story about why he thought it would have been beneficial. So the doctor said, all right, let me, acquiesce to this request. Perform the surgical procedure. The gentleman coming back now from time to time to do his checkups. When he finally healed up now from the surgical wound, doctor tell him, so, well, you're good to go now. Go forth and live your best life. And the patient take time, go around one long argument to pretty much say to the doctor, say, I never really know circumcision we want, So doctor said, you go through all of this pain and inconvenience and money for what? The man take him own sweet time and finally tell him, say, the boy wants some help. The boy has struggled. He was having erectile problems. Right? He was having erectile problems, right? And the gentleman could not find not even the language, even with a fellow man doctor, to say to him, Doc, I'm having sexual performance issues, and I would like for you to point me in a particular direction. The piece of it now that might make Mark feel vindicated now, because we're balancing the argument, right? To show you the communication is vital and choices are important. When doctor quote him prescription pad now, I said, but a simple solution this, and you write up the things them now, forgive Mr. Gentleman. His wife look over and said, Doctor, where you give him? So that must have said Viagra, Cialis, whatever. She said, I wish part you send him go. No, send him home to me with them the prescription there. She said she done with that the life there. She lock her book and that done. What it boils down to though is the fact that sometimes the couple, and Dr. Sexian can tell you, them not talking nothing of consequence to each other, them talk around the issue. Mm-hmm. You understand? So maybe she lock off because the man not wanted nothing. And she pulled away now to keep on a beat home the point and I try coax him. Maybe he pulled away from her sexually because he felt inferior and did not want to be shown up. But you know something, can I say something to you as well?
Do you know, right, that a loving, affectionate, cuddling type of relationship, sometimes a lot of men are satisfied and women are just satisfied with just that alone, It's not always about going to the full extent. So I believe you can have a relationship as you get older or whatever that exists on just that type of intimacy. Intimacy is not really about sex alone. I mean, there's a whole bunch of things, just playing with the back of your head at some point, rubbing it down, just being human.
Everything, including the sex.
Sex is a nice part of it, man.
Absolutely. But I'm not saying to you,
orgasms are awesome.
I'm not saying that men are just about for that. I mean, men look on a whole bunch of different things. They look on how concerned you are about them. Being in tune. It makes you feel like she cares. So if she cares, then you go the extra mile. You go the extra mile to want to please her. I mean, I remember my dad told me a story about a couple he met back in the 70s in Jamaica, and he said, Mark, this lady, she knew when he was going to be at a certain location, so she would start putting on the pot. So when he got home, it was just right. Back in the day, that's how they kind of operated. And she said that, when he spoke to her about it, she said, Mark, she said, Harry, I try to love her as much as I can, love her better than she can love me.
Because that was important to him. That was important to him.
He needed a good warm meal. When he got home, he wanted a hot meal, and it needed to be cooked by his wife. That was love for him.
Right.
We have strayed. We have looked for this fix that is, you can't find it because it's not grounded on anything that of substance. So you find a lot of couples going to this so-called freaky side, when in fact, just holding hands with the right person sends tingles down your spine.
Yeah, but Mark, some people want freaky style.
What I'm saying
some
is that
people want hang from trees and things.
Hold on.
And use leaf.
Okay. I equate to cocaine. I don't know drugs, but from what I've heard. is that you are searching for something that you cannot find. You start with a little bit of cooking, then you go to more and to more and to more, and you can't get enough because it's not grounded on anything that is sustainable.
I don't know of what you speak. I cannot relate. What
Because
I will say is, I think the bottom line is, which comes back to authenticity, which comes back to where this nice couple started us off when they talk about the fact that they are just honest with each other, and they are straightforward, and they know what each other wants, and they're not afraid to converse and communicate, because I think that's really where it is. I think that couples are different. What works for you right now? One of my most successful couples, you know what they do? Like every month end, them go find a third person to have a threesome with. And the whole hunt and the entire thing is the most exciting thing. And them do it, and the person gone, and them get on with them life, and everything is fine. And that is their thing. But the difference is that they communicate, they're authentic, they like each other, they know what they're into, and that is how their relationship works. Relationships are different. Like for me, my thing is, I need somebody to talk to. I am a communicator. So what my partner do, them call me on the phone, and we sit down and 2 hour chat. So by the time we see him, we get the chatting off of my mind. So because he want to watch movies, and we can't chat during the movie. So he call me, and we chat about when we want to chat about. So when we go watch movies now, we can focus on the movie. So everybody get their needs met. So you have to know your partner. You have to keep open and be willing to learn, and don't expect them to be this one thing, because one thing that I can guarantee you is we are constantly changing, and we are I might feel a way about thing number one this year, and next year I change my mind. That's just what it is. So that's why the communication is so vital.
That is a very good point. It's a very good point.
True, that's very good. This is age. Okay, so give us an idea. You got together 43 years ago. What would you say is the single? Well, we got honesty, we got communication. We're talking about now staying in that sweet spot, because when I see you and Mr. H, I mean, you guys are looking at each other, Google Gaga, like it just met yesterday. That is so like unusual. So what would you say is that thing? And plus you work and you play together. So what is that? Everybody always talk about, the missing you, when make the heart go, when the person is away, the heart goes fonder, and all of these things. What would you say is that thing that makes you guys click?
First of all, a lot of people assume that when you work together, you don't have to make a special effort to communicate. You do. Because, he's doing his thing at the office, I'm doing my thing at the office, and you don't necessarily have to overlap in the things that you're doing. So you still have to make that time to sit and discuss the day's activities, preferably at work. We separate the work activities from home activities. We try our best to do that. When we get home, I still do things that I know Mr. H enjoys. I make a nice cup of coffee every morning. We have good meal times together. We make sure we sit down with the children and have a meal every day. But you still have to keep it hot. You have to make an effort to look good, and to look good at home, and to groom yourself. You have to make sure you take care of yourself. You eat right, you exercise, and you share yourself with each other. I'm not stingy with my love and passion for him. I make sure that we keep it hot. You do things that that the other partner would enjoy. And I saw one of your viewers commenting about, sex gets boring after a while for married couples, but I beg to differ. And the children are looking at us like we have 10 heads, but you have to definitely make an effort to keep your sexual relationship active and interesting. It can't.
I just said children. a lot of the complaints that we've been getting is that when the children comes, because before married, when you get married, it's you and him alone.
Yeah.
When the children come along, they say, boy, them take over, so she's not really into me anymore, and I'm not getting that attention that I used to get. How did you balance that?
It's tricky. Yeah, I think in Jamaica we have the benefit of having someone in the house to help us to get the household chores done. Oftentimes, it's taken for granted, but having someone in the home to help you really is very important, I think. So that gives, I don't have to necessarily come home and make a meal every day. I still do it on the weekends or when I would like to, but having good resources helps in the marriage. I think just making sure that you spend time doing the things that your partner appreciates. If your partner doesn't like a good meal and that's not his focus and he would prefer to go to a nice restaurant, then you need to fit that in somehow,
Did you have an issue like when after you had children, did you lose interest in sex for a while?
I have never lost interest in sex. No.
What we did when the kids were younger, we are very active. We do a lot of things, and the kids, we prepared their bag. We were spontaneous. If our friends call us and say we're having a kaluki night, or we don't have to. We just pick up a bag and say we're there. We're out, and so the kids.
Our children were always with us and always went wherever we went.
And grew up in our atmosphere. We really did not change what we did because of them. And this is how we grew up. Our parents, that's what we are accustomed to. So we did not have to. As I say, it's easy for us because that's what we were accustomed. We grew up.
A lot of people don't talk about sex to their children. I think it's very important to let your children know that you do have sex. It is a part of the relationship.
You must show your kids your affection. We don't hide.
But we never have sex in front of the children. No.
Let's declare.
Be very, very clear. No, that's not allowed. But they know that we are healthy. We do kiss.
We cuddle, we kiss,
and we are,
we show affection, openly, and it helps my morale when she cuddles with me or she in public kiss me. It shows that she still loves me, and likewise I kiss her. So we're very
affectionate
to each
other. That would be the word.
That is true. I can attest to that.
So it does
that's a good thing.
It doesn't have to get cold. I believe it does. You have to have a good foundation, and you have to work at it. You have to constantly make an effort to keep your relationship relevant and active. You have to, be honest, and as things wane or ebb and flow, you have to just make constant effort to keep your relationship healthy.
I think we both also, a lot of Jamaican men get caught into this macho. Every little skirt that pass, if you don't call to them, or you have to look like
the bravado has to step in.
This is one of the problems that will lead to issues. Direct it to your wife. All that affection that you, or what you would do to a little young girl. My wife is both my lover, my sweetheart, my wife, my kid's mother, right? I have been blessed where everything is in one package, so it's simple and straightforward for me.
And let me speak for Mrs. H. She don't take it for granted either. She'll work at it. She's gonna
Yeah.
kick back in class, make sure the body looks sort out, and that kind of thing. So, I mean, I'm looking at some of the comments. We have a lot of naysayers, Mr. and Mrs. H, because they can't believe that it's you're still loving on each other after 43 years. But as one of the other persons says, they had a solid foundation. And the thing is, why we brought Mr. and Mrs. H is to let you know that it can happen. We are not saying that it is. It's a popular or a what I want to say now. It is out there a lot.
It's not
it happens. It
Yes.
happens. But it's work. They're not saying it's perfect. It's work. And as Mark was saying earlier, and I feel Mark's passion, really, because I guess he's a lot like me, because I don't know if it's that. Are you an only child, Mark?
I'm actually a middle child.
Oh, you're a middle child, because you kind of sound like me. I want people to read my
but I'm kind of like an only child, because the first my brother was the first. He got a lot of attention. I was second. Then my sister came. Then I was ignored. I tend to want to be similar to you in that whatever I am giving, I'm expecting it. But I realized very quickly when I matured that it's not like that. You have to talk. And I mean, I find it difficult to say the words. I don't like confrontation. I feel confrontational. I am fearful. I have been told on a daily basis that I don't need anybody because I'm vocal. I speak about sex openly. So I'm one of those people who they probably don't eat. They put in the box, not married, because I am vocal about what I want in bed, how I want it. I mean, what I want to do, and I am not bashful about it. So yeah, but you know something.
People who even these shows that I'm having, people will call me brave. It's not about being brave. It's about wanting persons to live a happy life, to live an authentic life, to live as Sexy Ann would say, talk of the things them, say what you want, and so that you can get what you want.
Yeah, but can I say something to you? Can I say something to you?
Yes.
What you just explained, what you just said a while ago, is actually quite exciting to a lot of men. They like to know that a woman can tell them exactly. It makes your job easier. Number one.
When was the last time I got asked out on a date?
No, hold on, man. Hold on. They have to be in a position to know that side of you first. But what I'm saying to you is that behavior
I live my life like this on a daily basis. But the thing is, I'm not approached. And that's what I'm trying to explain to you. When you're
a lot of men, but a lot of men are weak though. They're weak, man. They look at a strong one and them just frizz out. That happens. I've seen that as a man.
You can't have it both ways.
No,
you can't have it both ways.
I have
a lot of men want her, and another man and them weak. Make up your mind. You can struggle.
Check this out. I have two daughters. I have 2 daughters, and I have 4 grandchildren. Okay.
Yes.
What I said to you, I mean, I'm 50. My birthday was a couple of days ago. I'm 59 years old. Okay.
Yes.
No.
Looking good for 59, by the way.
Appreciate it. I keep well. Yeah, I keep well. I don't.
We appreciate
No big belly around here.
No big belly now here.
No big belly now here.
But what I'm saying to you though, right, is that I've seen, sometimes I go to the like I go to Jamaica. When I go to Jamaica, I go to what do you call it? What place here, man? The deck and them place there, them Jamaican place. And I hear people talk. I hear some of these men talk. I watch people. Maybe it's an artist thing or not, but I'm thinking, my God, if I was a woman, me wouldn't want to run them man, yeah.
Well, the pickings are slim.
Oh, we have those
My
thoughts all the
girlfriends
time.
are always saying the pickings are slim, and it's because Jamaican men, as Peter said, Mr. H said earlier, there is a challenge with the ego. You don't want to come off as honest because you have to pretend to be something that you're not.
Yeah.
Many Jamaican men tend to put on a different face out there. And
A facade.
you'll be surprised to know how appealing just genuine honesty is to a woman. Ladies, would you attest to that?
Yes.
You know, a girl told me something, right? A girl told me about a guy that was so hot and bothered over her, right? One other talk about in the first 2 weeks, they want to get married to her and whatever, right? And all the man wanted was get some from her. She said to me, Mark, you know something? Be like, give the brother something from the ask me feet, you know.
Right.
He didn't have to come with all them marriage proposal and kind of foolishness. So what I'm saying to you, the lack of honesty creates problems on both sides, man. You know, it. You know, people are not honest about stuff, man.
Authenticity.
Authenticity, yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Mark, you know what has been something that a lot of women have been asking me is their children are grown, their marriage has ended, they don't want a long-term relationship. They literally just want a man to scratch an itch. They want somebody that they call whenever they physically want to be satisfied, and then the man go home. And that's all they want. They don't want a relationship. They're fine. They're financially secure. Them life simple. Them enjoying them life. The only aspect of them life them want is somebody to come and shake up them body every once in a while.
You know something? Can I say something? Can I say something to you?
And they can't find that.
Most of my friends.
Like if you know some brethren that want to do that as a business, I could get you some clients.
Hold on there. Hold on. Most of my friends are not males that you might think. Most of my friends are females, and you know, I'm going to tell you the common the denominator. Okay, when it comes to the type of woman that you're talking about, she said, Mark, sometimes I just want to wake up and have my man beside me. Okay.
Amen.
Somebody I can talk about the stresses of the world, the affection, all of that stuff. That stuff you're talking about, women have conditioned themselves to adopt a behavior which is less than what they really want. I promise you. It's not about going at, you know, it sounds good and it sounds independent, but it's not reality. I know the women you're talking about.
The difference between you and I is I will never tell a woman what she wants. If she say that she wants, I believe her. Me not gonna tell you say a lie she tell. I'm not in that business. Because contrary to what you and a lot of people believe, not every woman is trying to find a man to wake up with. Because some of the time man tear up your sheet and mess up your bedroom anyway and peep up your toilet. So enough of the time they're fine being by themselves and just have a man come over when they need them. I am not in the business of telling a woman that she does not know what she wants.
Okay,
I will never do that.
Okay, check this out. I'm not going to agree.
Can I put a spin on that?
Hold on. No, but I'm not going to agree or disagree with what you're saying. And I'll tell you why. Because there's some women who have, they see they're more in tune with their friends than their own husbands or their own male partners.
Absolutely.
And I mean, when they talk about going out to meet a certain girlfriend, I light up more than them light up about staying with their husbands. So I get that, which is why I've said to you before that there's been no relationship book written that one size fits all, because we're all different.
No, can I put a spin on that though, Mark? I have another experience where the men will invite you out. When I say invite, let me change the word invite. The men will want to have sex with you on a casual basis. No problem. let you spin that on them.
Oh,
Like,
they can't manage it. Cannot manage it.
what you mean?
Cannot manage it.
But
Well, check this out.
I don't get it.
Check this out.
Because they're expecting that they are assuming that they are the gift. Right? And if
Well,
you saw it, what was that movie again? When Eddie Murphy got paid when he was sat up in the bed. Boomerang. Right. When she came late and she left the money on the dining table, right? And she took the sex and she left. They don't really handle her very well.
Look at this movie by Spike Lee called She's Gotta Have It.
Yes.
That's an excellent movie that talks about a liberated woman who had on Christmas Day she had 3 men in her room.
Oh, we know the show. You know, we know the show. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
So in other words, yeah. When a woman's liberated, things like that happen. But I mean,
yes, as far as what she's looked down on, don't it?
Yeah, but I remember when I saw the movie, when I saw the movie, I wasn't.
She'll be looked down on in Jamaica. She won't be looked down on in a lot of other countries around the world. That's a cultural thing. Because even here in Jamaica, a lot of Jamaican men can't stand being a piece of meat. They don't have any problems going around having 6, 7 sexual partners. But if them ever find out that they're one lady, several sexual partners, they lose their minds. They can't manage it. Women have lost their lives because of that.
That is true. But but let us not lose focus, because we're talking about achieving happily ever after. And so since we're at 1:36, we don't want to get to 2 hours and not have we want some guidelines. So what are some of the things? Like, give me five of your everybody just give me 5 things that you think is a must to achieving happily ever after. And we'll start with you, Mark, as the lone male.
Because I actually have to leave. I actually have to leave now. But let me say this. Yes. In my opinion, I think number 1 is you really have to meet a woman that is your friend.
Yes.
A woman you can talk about stuff with and not have it come back and bite in the butt because you've opened up to her and she used that information against you.
Right.
You want a person that you can trust, that you can talk to about anything. Yes. Number 2, if you're an affectionate person, try to be the woman that's affectionate. And you're going to find out those who are just lonely and will come at you with everything they have because they haven't been loved in a long time. So they give you everything, but it's not who they really are. They're just missing that connection. So you have to look between those two. Another thing too is that a person who wants to possess you and a person that loves you, the symptoms can be the same. They'll cry for you. They'll do all the things that it's about possession. I mean, if you look on something you want to possess, you will do everything to possess that thing or person. Time on the books allows you the ability to understand if this person wants to possess you or this person actually loves you. And so in my opinion, I think time is very important. Don't be in a rush. Take your time. There's no rush. I mean, you have 50, 60 years ahead of you. I mean, take your time. Mm-hmm. And because a bad decision, I mean, even though I got divorced, I mean, and I moved on, I still think about that woman, not in the context of want to be with her, but how is she doing? How are things? You're consuming things like those if you're a caring person. Mm-hmm. You don't want to have those types of distractions when you're in a marriage. Divorce is a horrible thing, guys. It's not a good thing. It's important to take the time and the proper due diligence in trying to secure and to be with a lifetime partner. We can't take it lightly. And we can't take trivial sex lightly either, because men bond. Men bond, trust me. Okay? Mark it, there's some that are just shallow and just want to itch scratch, like you talk about itch scratch.
Right.
I don't think that goes along with most men. Most men, if them start going with you, trust me, they're going to be repeating the visits. Okay? And if you're not careful, you can get yourself, you know, bogged down into a couple of relationships. You have to be really careful about that too, because I don't think humans are inherently monogamous. I don't believe that. It's something that it's a choice, and it's based on consequences for deviating from the accepted norm, and not want to hurt the person that you love. You love this person, but you have a feeling to do something else, but you don't want to hurt that person's feeling. So those are things that you have to be careful about. That when you're getting involved in a relationship, you're not faced with those challenges.
Right.
You know.
Okay.
But so from that standpoint, I mean, hey guys, I gotta run.
Yes.
Enough respect for this, because I hope people can actually learn from what we talked about. This is very important because there are a lot of broken families. You know, I'm a product of a divorce as well. My parents got divorced after 25 years of marriage. Okay. My mom is known
for you for your marriage to work.
My mom is 92 years old, and my dad passed away 7 years ago with another family. He has another family. I have younger brothers, you know, almost the age of my daughter. So, you know, and there's a whole bunch of challenges that go along with divorce, especially when there are kids involved, you know.
Yes.
And at the same time, you got to really balance it out. Okay, I mean, my dad wrote my mom a really heart-wrenching letter of how sorry he was, you know, about the breakup of the relationship and what it's done to the family. It's not only on you, you know, it's a family as well, you know.
Yes.
But so, like I said, the most important thing, man, is really get to know who you get involved with, because if you make a bad decision, it's gonna affect not only you, but your friends, mutual friends you have. You know, you have mutual friends too, you know.
Yes.
And when you break up, it's a torturous. It's a torturous affair.
Yes.
It's a torturous thing. I mean, it's not something that I wish on anybody. So, you know.
Thank you so much, Mark. We appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Take care of yourself.
Okay,
Hope
take
as
care.
well avoid the COVID situation as much as you can.
All right.
Social distancing.
Thanks for your honesty.
Thanks.
Yeah, man. And congrats on your marriage, by the way. That's admirable.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, take care.
Your time now, Kamala.
So the 5 things I would say, I said a couple of them before. I'm going to reiterate a couple. So honesty with self first, and practicing honesty with the other person. The reality is, as clinicians, as you know, human beings in relationship spaces, just in every capacity, it is the right thing to do to tell people what you really want. And before you can do that, you have to know what you really want. Nobody can beat you. Everybody are big people. Nobody can drape you. If you say you shouldn't want a threesome, you shouldn't want to have an open relationship, what you want is what you want. But I feel like it's the bare minimum in terms of respect for self and for others to be upfront about what you want. And as I always say, it's important on the other party or parties to listen when people tell you what they want and to take them seriously, right? Don't try to be changing people and try to make them into what you want. If somebody up to that they're up for. So being honest with self, honest with other people, and on the flip side of it, receive people's truths in a way that makes sense, right? You can spare yourself years of heartbreak if you just receive when people tell us, this me want, or I don't want this. The other pitfall I would say to try to avoid is trying to change people outrightly. Sometimes we believe, and I always say it, sometimes as women, we believe that the power of the vajayjay can just make man just put in your hand and just do what you want them to do. It's not true. Yes, we can influence each other towards changing, but it's important to remember, say, if the person have to log on to it and decide that they do want to change before it can become a thing. So I know you get up and just say, I'm going to make them become this, make them become faithful, make them become husband material or wife material. It has to be something that is innate. And the other important piece to Sandra, the communication part of it is hard, because many of us haven't really met ourselves. And so we can't communicate effectively if we don't know where we're coming from, and we can't step outside of ourselves to have empathy for other people's perspective. Yeah. And then now, I think this is going to be the fifth one that somebody mentioned before, is that throw away this notion that you have to be like the happily Mr. and Mrs. happily married, or you have to be like Dr. Sexian and her partner, or you have to be like whatever. Get to know who you trying to be with.
That's right.
Yes.
Because I came across this couple recently where the couple's dynamics are so different from the quote unquote typical male-female dynamic. So for example, they're married for a couple of years, a pretty young couple, and the husband have to ask the wife permission to post her picture on him social media because of how private she is. Yes? Right. Normally that's not the case. Him also confessed, number one, him is miserable. When him cranky in a real life, right? And he also said that he is the more expressive one. So he has to be saying to her, babe, make we talk now, make we tease it out. When oftentimes we throw it on the man, them for say man no love talk, and we have to dig it out of them. But every person is different. So meet people where they're at, right? And get to know who you are trying to build with. And the final thing I would say to Sandra is, make no sense for you couple up because the sex good and the vibes nice, but you don't know which part you go as a person. How you gonna know if this is somewhere that you want to go with this person? You understand? So you have to have an idea of what you are about, self-knowledge, right? Self-direction. And then after that, you can create a unified vision of love. What are we trying to do together? Is it just sex? All right, either yes or no. Is it longer than that? Is it more than that? What do we want? And what do we want together? And if you're committed to that, what if nice things can go on?
Excellent. Mr. and Mrs. H, 5 takeaways for your longevity.
We established it early. You have to be honest about who you are. So, know each other, know yourselves, know what you're about. Trust is important in a relationship. Very, very important. So you have to be honest with each other.
And trust is something you earn, right?
Right.
It's not something that the person must just trust you. No, it's your
Absolutely.
When you're out, the things you do, if you're sneaking a peek at a pretty lady that walk past, that is not putting the trust. It's better you turn and say, boy, that lady look good.
Yes,
of
course. Yes, of course.
Because
Absolutely.
we're not. So trust. You have to earn trust. Each person has to do what is necessary to earn the trust.
And you also have to be willing to give and take. I mean, it's not always perfect. So you're gonna have days, your good days, your bad days, and you have to be willing to work it out. Work through it. I mentioned to Peter something that I think is important. A lot of relationships, but most people avoid saying it, and it is financial stability. Black people don't like to talk about money.
Not at all.
We don't like to admit that, but we need money. And if you don't have financial stability, it causes a lot of trouble in relationships. If you are married to someone who doesn't have a job or feel like they need a job, it's going to bring some stress into your life. So that's a very important part. So I'd say being caring for each other also. You have to care about the person enough to want to do nice things for your partner.
Absolutely.
Just because, you bring home something nice that, your partner likes, just because, not for any other reason than, hey, I thought you might like this here. So those are some of the things that we think will encourage a healthy relationship.
And communication.
Communication
to me is key.
Yeah.
From the start, if you don't have a open communication, it's very difficult, and one lie leads to the next, and to the next.
I have to remember the lie.
So
I just don't see the point in line, really.
comes straightforward and it's easier, you know. So.
Yes. Thank you so much for that. And finally, Dr. Sexian, last but
Well,
no,
I think everybody pretty much covered everything, but I have a list of things that I always encourage couples to look at before they make a commitment to each other. I think Mr. and Mrs. H touched on one of them that I think we always forget about, which is money. So I don't think I have to get into that too much, only to say that we focus a lot on assets and we don't talk about liabilities. And let me tell you something, liability is more important than assets. You know why? You automatically inherit 50% of whatever liabilities that person have once you sign on that line. So if they come into the relationship with a $50 million debt, you are now responsible for $25 million of it. So we have to talk about money. All right? The next thing I'll talk about is health. Now, we don't talk about health a lot because it is uncomfortable, it is intrusive. But the truth of the matter is that before a couple decides to commit, I recommend that both of them go to a doctor and do a full executive profile, have the doctor test you for everything that needs to be tested, and you have an open, frank conversation about it. Because your health can affect every aspect of your life, from your finances, to your sex life, to your ability to work, to your ability to take care of each other, or to just enjoy life. Your quality of life is directly affected by the status of your health. So you must have conversations, and I must know what you're allergic to, and you know what I'm allergic to. And if you jot down, I can have an informed conversation with your doctor when you're at the hospital. And a lot of us find ourselves in these positions where after the person jot down and the doctor asks certain questions, you don't have any answer for it. And that is because we don't talk about these things.
And somebody
another
was
thing that we
about
don't
cell the other day as well, to know if you have the trait and I have the trait, and if you're coming together,
we have to know that. That's what I'm saying. Do a full profile so you figure out exactly what I want. The next thing is lifestyle. What kind of lifestyle is it that you want as a couple? You might want champagne lifestyle. You might want backstreets lifestyle. Talk about it. Be specific. Exactly what it is that you want. Where do you see us being in 3 years? What are we working towards as a couple? I say it all the time. If a couple is not planning something, then they're not spending enough time together. And Mr. and Mrs. H can probably tell me co-sign on this, but what has been my experience is if the two of you have a project that you're working on that's going to build you as a couple, you're so focused on that, and when you finally achieve this thing, we'll just set the next goal and move on to the next goal. I think you should approach your relationship as a business, to the point where you are looking out for the future of it. You want to grow it, you want it to become better, which is why we talk about this growth, this change that is going to happen to you as individuals. And when you make this improvement, you're so much stronger as a couple. And the final thing that I tell couples to look at is you work on you as an individual.
Yes.
The two of you are going on a journey together. I don't believe in this two become one thing. 1 + 1 is 2, 2 better than 1, 2 more than 1, 2 stronger than 1. So if we're two individuals working on getting better, we're just going to be better together. We're going to be more of a movement together. So work on your individual, find the things that's going to make you better. Say you're impatient, work on that. Say you don't listen well, work on that. That you're not very good at compromising, work on that. But find ways to get better as an individual that can make your relationship improve as well. And if you're always working on getting better, I guarantee you that you will. Because as far as I'm concerned, the difference between the honeymoon period and the rest of the relationship is the effort. The minute you stop the effort, you're going to see the difference.
Absolutely.
Amen. That is awesome, awesome.
Sandra, can I underscore something that Dr. Sexian mentioned about the money piece? I heard a marriage therapist talk about this concept, which never dawned on me before, about financial infidelity. And I was blown away. We talk about the stepping out of the sex of the bedroom. We talk about the emotional cheating, but we don't talk about the fact that people can be in at the account and do some things. You understand? And I spend money on he, she, and the other one, he, she, and they, without your partner's consent or awareness. And it's a very real breach of trust, and it can break down the relationship in so many ways. So the money part is important. 199% for real.
Awesome. So what I got from all of this is that happily ever after is possible. However, To quote Dr. Sexian, it takes effort. Lots and lots of effort. And to quote Mr. and Mrs. H, communication, you have to care for the other person, you have to be honest. And I have always known that honesty is the best policy, boy, because I'm telling you, for me, once you lie and I catch you in a lie, everything else that you say after that means zero. That is the challenge that I have. That is so hard to trust after that. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, whoever is listening out there, how can we get in touch with you, Dr. Sexy Ann? What are your handles, please?
Dr. Sexian, DRSEXXYANN on Instagram, or you can just go to my website, drsexian.com.
Okay, and
Spell it like the way it's spelled here, DRSEXYANN.com.
Okay, and Kamala?
So I am at White Lotus Blooms or at lotus.patrice on Instagram. And the website is whitelotusblooms.com.
And as you can see, those two ladies have a wealth of knowledge. Ladies and gentlemen, there's no reason for us to suffer silently anymore. Those days are gone. This is the age of make things happen, right? If you want happiness, you have to choose happiness. You must, and to what I heard also, and which I've always said, it's in the selection process. When you're looking for a mate, ask question. Is the person going in the same direction as you are going? Choose wisely. And then after the choice now, work, effort. Well, Andrea Peter, but Mr. and Mrs. H said that it doesn't, for them, it doesn't really feel like work. But remember now, they have been together forever, right? So they had a lot of getting to know each other from literally from childhood, teenage years up into adulthood. So they had a lot of that kind of growing together, which could have been difficult, but they had stable
role models
that they could have learned from, right? A lot of us grew up in single parent homes, not really exposed to that, but there is a Dr. Sexy Ann, there is a Kamala McWhinney, and there is many other persons that you can get the information from. Please.
And there's Google.
And there is Google.
And YouTube, very much so.
And YouTube.
She lives
have to suffer. My Facebook friends, thank you so much for joining us for almost 2 hours. We're like 3 minutes shy of 2 hours. We really appreciate you. Next week, I'm sure we'll be here with another exciting topic on Sandra Facebook Live and on YouTube. Totally Male Spa. Please like and share. I'm going to post it on my page. This is awesome information that you just want your friends to know, because the bottom line is we all want solutions. We all want happiness at the end of the day. We all want meaningful relationships. We all want relationships that end up in longevity. Nobody wants to be starting over every minute. Nobody wants that. So thanks for joining us. Thank you very much. Good night. Peace out.
Good
night. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.